it seems virtually certain that what the Soviets have experienced is a nuclear meltdown.
Often, it didn't work.
The big fires down there, you're certainly seeing smaller fires. They look like they're trying.
Reginald Denny was the truck driver. We watched him by the millions. Here is the tape of what happened there.
And I think that was the scariest time when we're walking across the bridge, because we're now walking across the bridge towards Manhattan.
The magnitude of the situation is untenable.
There's no electricity, and even if there was, the levees haven't been repaired yet.
Here, that's where the reinforcements are coming from. The claim, we understand my producer Kevin Conlon says that they're loading tear gas canisters up right.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Adam from Spirited Systems, and welcome back to the channel. We're going to be doing another installment of Team Room. I'm excited about this one. But before we get started, I encourage you to go ahead and just like and follow and subscribe, whatever you do on YouTube, to the channel. We like bringing you this content. We do it for free. We don't want to hide this behind a Patreon paywall. That's never been the intent. We want to give this information out because people need it and you deserve to have it. So yeah, if you don't like paying for content that should just be free, give us a subscribe. It helps us out a lot, helps grow the channel and keep it moving forward. And we have a lot of plans for it in 2024. So go ahead and help us out. Today on Team Room, we're going to be talking about the go bag, right? The go bag, the call out bag, the, whatever, I don't know, whatever bag, your bug out bag. There, that's the other one, the other buzzword. We're going to be talking about that. And this bag is gigantic. So most people are already looking at this and they're going, what? There's no way that could be a go bag. Well, I disagree. I think that there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of, there's a lot of thought processes people go through to get to their version of a go bag. And a lot of it's what's going to work for you and what your needs are personally. But today we're going to be talking about kind of my theory on what that bag should be, what it should have in it, and how you should utilize it. So that's why I have this gigantic bag, and we'll get into that. But I mean, let's be real. Let's just look at reality right now. Things have been rough in the last few years, right? We've had a lot of civil unrest. We've had a couple of natural disasters. We have 2 wars raging that we are funding that is kind of propping up our economy. The economy's not doing well. The housing market's not doing well. And on top of that, we have an election coming up. And if anything, the last election has taught us anything, it's going to be a real banger of an election. So this stuff has been on my mind a little bit more, I'm not going to lie. I feel like, this is the right time to give this information out to people and let them prepare themselves for what might be coming in the next year or so. But really, this should be something that you have if you consider yourself prepared, or if you're interested in the sovereignty and safety and security of your family. This is something that you should be considering. If you're watching this channel, there's a good chance that you're part of a group or a subsect of society that is a little more self-reliant, and you don't want to be a victim. So you have stuff, right? You went out and you started learning, and you have, maybe a carbine, and you have a concealed carry pistol, and you have these tools, right? And they're probably everywhere in your house. And you're just like, I have the tool, and then I train, so I have the capability, and you don't really think anything of it. But if I were to tell you that, hey, you need to leave your house in 10 minutes, and you just grab what you can in 10 minutes, I think most people, and in my experience from what I've seen, most people are not ready to use those tools efficiently. They would basically be without a lot of the critical stuff that they need, simply because in the journey of our day-to-day life, we don't keep those tools readily available, right? Your night vision, your whatever. Maybe your flashlight doesn't have batteries in it, things like that. So this concept is to kind of cure that issue, right? It's to keep you accountable. keep your group of guys, if you're in a group, accountable, and a way for everyone to kind of share in the mutual task of self-reliance. So that's the theory of the bag and what we're going to talk about in this video. So let's go ahead and start breaking into the bag. So the first thing we're going to start off with is the bag. This bag is like I said, it's very big, right? It is made by a company called GMR Gear. I've been piloting a bunch of different bags over the last 3 years, trying to kind of figure out something that works for me. So far, this is the only one that I can find that I truly like and that I think fits kind of all of the things that I want it to do fairly well, right? It's kind of a niche bag, and it's very expensive. And I don't think that this is the only bag that you can use. So don't go out and buy only this bag. There's plenty of bags out there. A duffel bag, anything will work. The one thing about this bag that I like above all the other bags is that it has a separate compartment for my carbine. So that's why I chose this one, if you're wondering why. I also like that it doesn't look like a military backpack. It's a big bag. They call it the goalie, as in like hockey, a goalie from hockey, and it looks like a hockey bag. If you played hockey, you know, like you have this giant bag, you put all your pads in and stuff like that. That's what this looks like, and that's what I wanted. It's in gray, so it's in a neutral color palette. The unassuming eye is just going to see a bag instead of seeing something tactical or military. So that's why I went with this. It also doesn't have wheels. I wanted something that didn't have wheels in case I do have to, put it on. It does have just backpack straps. I can just put it on my back and I can walk with it. So opening up the rifle compartment. If you follow the channel, you're probably pretty familiar with my my rifle setups. But this is a Noveski, and it has all the same stuff that I normally have. It's a little lighter weight than, say, my other rifle, which is back there. I do have just an EOTech on it and a MAL as well. It is suppressed so that so it's not super loud in a vehicle. But that's it. Pretty basic stuff there. And then I do have a load inside of that pouch as well. This gives me access to the carbine above all else, right? If it is a scenario where I have to grab that immediately and fight, and that's the only hope, right? I'm just going to be able to grab it out of the bag and go with it. In this compartment, I also keep my fanny pack, which is something that I'm a big fan of. The fanny pack has been around for a long time. We did not invent it. This one is our new version that's not released, so I'm probably going to get in trouble for showing this, but I keep this guy. I've been testing it for a few years now, and this is an IFAK, right? So if you want to know more about IFAKs, there's a lot of information on the internet. I keep mainly the same items that you would have ever in an IFAK. There's also a tourniquet inside of here and a pair of trauma shears. So I keep an IFAK in there as well. Again, immediate access, right? I don't have to open the main compartment of the bag, and I can just access that compartment. So this bag opens up in kind of a unique way. This is the piece that would actually be, facing your back. So there is no external way to get into the bag. You have to have the bag off your body to get into it. I'm gonna open them up, and I'm gonna start taking items out. Now these items are not necessarily in order of usage, right? So I'm actually gonna push this guy off to the side a little bit. They're just in there how they can best fit. So we're just gonna start talking about different items. This one I posted on social media, and everybody was immediately in love, which is funny to me because it's just a USGI kind of 5.56 Bandolier. I have 6 full magazines with duty ammo in them, and I'll just demonstrate. You can just sling this over your body, and now you have extra loads that you can take with you. But the big idea here is just having that extra ammunition already preloaded in a magazine having the extra magazines, it's a smart. I think if it's in a call-out bag, it should be in a magazine. It probably should not be in boxes or something like that. It needs to be ready to be used. This is not my primary loads; those are on my load carriage equipment. But this is that spare ammunition. Again, if we have access to the bag, we have access to the spare ammunition. If we have to ditch the bag, it might come with us, it might not. The next kind of important thing I have is my helmet, right? The helmet is pretty critical to me, whether or not you're wearing body armor. I still wear a helmet, right? Even if I'm just wearing load-bearing equipment or a chest rig of some sort. There's a lot of videos out there about helmet setups. I mean, really quickly on mine, obviously set up for night vision, strobe on the top. I do have scrim on it currently. I have a little axe mount with a Surefire on it so that I can see things when I work with things. Mine has some stuff on it that, this sun, ignore the sunshade. It's coming one day. And then ear pro, right? Electronic ear pro to patch into my comms. But the most important reason I have this is my night vision. In my experience, there's a lot of systems out there. People have these skull crushers and they have all these things. Just have a helmet, guys. The amount of time you're gonna have to wear your night vision, it might be 12 hours. It could literally be all night. You could be driving with it on. The last thing that I want personally is to have some little 6-ounce thong bikini on my head with 10 pounds of night vision on my face. The headaches you're gonna get from that, it starts to become untenable. And what I've seen in the real world, especially in the Army, is that if a guy's helmet setup is not right, he's gonna take his helmet off. It's just the truth. You can be as disciplined as you want. There is a point of which every single dude takes his helmet off. And I encourage you to go on Google and just type in whatever unit you think is the best unit, pictures of them in Afghanistan or Iraq. If they're sitting around, I guarantee their helmet is off. So another thing that I keep in my helmet is the balaclava, right? I think I got this one from AK Peasants. It's just a black balaclava. I don't know what material it's made out of, but it's important because I think what we've seen from some of the civil unrest stuff is that maybe you don't want your identity on CNN as you're moving through a crowd or you're trying to get away from danger or something. Maybe you just don't want to be implicated because of who you are put into a pot of, insurrection or something, let's say. So having that is important. I think it also keeps your face warm if it's very cold out. So there's dual use there. The venerable split rig, right? I'm not going to go through every single, well, maybe I will. Maybe I'll go through every single item. I have a split rig. This is a Spirit Systems product. You can get it on our website. We just launched another accessory for it, LBV butt pack situation. If you want to expand it, make it a little bigger, more of like an assault pack kind of situation, then you can. But mine is just set up for vehicle stuff, right? I assume at least in the beginning of a disaster or something, I'm going to have access to my vehicle. I want to be able to sit in my vehicle with nothing on my back. That's why I don't have an LBV set up on this right now. If I was somewhere really rural and I lived, say, out on a farm somewhere by myself, it might be a different setup, right? If I wasn't planning on getting in my vehicle and having to go somewhere else. So that's why it's a split rig. I do think we make the best split rig on the market. Tried a bunch of other versions. I still think I can say with certainty that ours is the most stable and thoughtfully designed. So if you want one, pick one up. If not, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to start opening some pouches and showing you some stuff. So we're going to go through this pretty quick to make this video not 3 hours long. But I have a headlamp. Always have a headlamp. That's a rechargeable version. Trying to switch a lot of my equipment over to rechargeable so that I can charge it off of a battery pack instead of having to have batteries for it. earplugs for my headset. All right, so this is something that I'm just going to touch on a little bit. I actually use GP Talls a lot. That's probably my favorite pouch that we make. They're just very versatile, right? I have two GP Talls, one on each side, and two spud pouches on this particular rig. And in this GP on my left side, I have a canteen. So this is an Nalgene Oasis. I like this over the USGI one because I can see the inside of it. Maybe you can't tell on the camera, but yeah, it's not completely opaque, so I can see what level the water's at. I have replaced it with a NBC cap on it. We'll talk about that too. But basically, if you have a gas mask and you don't have a way to consume water in the gas mask, that's a problem. You need to be able to drink water still. So yeah, there's that. I keep that in this pouch, right? It's a tall, it's not a Nalgene bottle pouch or a canteen pouch, but it works just fine for that. I also keep my comms set up, which is tied down to the pouch. You can see it's dummy corded in there with a little carabiner, but I keep my whole comm set up ready to go, but I keep it inside the pouch. I keep the antenna off the radio. And the reason why I store it like that is because if I have to yank this out of my bag and go with it, I don't want to have my antenna get snagged and broken off. And the first thing I'm going to be doing is not plugging in my headset and doing all these things. I'm going to be, if it's an emergency, I'm going to be grabbing this, I'm going to be going. I'll figure that other stuff out later. So I like to have it just contained inside the pouch. I have two magazines in the spud pouch, and then I have a magazine on the back side as well on the left side of my kit. On the right side, I have two more magazines in the spud pouch, and then we'll start ripping apart this pouch real quick. So this pocket, I store kind of some small, this is the outer pocket. I store batteries, my Leatherman. I think a multi-tool is a pretty critical item. If this is truly a disaster, and you're gonna have to do small repairs of some sort, I guarantee it. You're gonna have to fix something. You're gonna have to break something open. These are great. I recommend a model that has a saw on it, whichever model you want, but something with a saw. Opening the pouch up. So inside this other pouch, I have one of those tag flashbangs. I don't know if you can get these anymore. So if you can't, I'm sorry for showing it on a video. But I have one of those. The reason why I have that is a way for me to get away from danger. So in that civil unrest kind of scenario, if people are mobbing your car, if they're mobbing your house or whatever, those are very loud. And most people have never experienced something like that. It's a way to create space, right? Get people away from you and be able to get out of there. Kind of like ninja smoke bomb status. I have a Silent. If you haven't heard of that brand, pretty cool brand. They make a lot of EMP or more like I think they're more geared towards, hey, like cut your cell phone signal, right? Digital safety kind of stuff. But I use it for my night vision because it's also a wet weather bag. So I get twofold out of it. I get a little bit of that protection, plus it's a wet weather bag. I'm very fortunate. Hashtag blessed. I have 31 alphas, and I do have, I have switched over. I've become a convert to the 100 Concepts night vision covers. I like these. The main reason I like them is because I can adjust my ocular without the cap spinning, which I thought was pretty novel. Tie down on it, of course, like everything. So those are in there. And then on the bottom, underneath everything, I kind of use that as a space to just store my extra comms stuff, right? That's why I like the GP Talls, is like, there's a lot of room in there and you can utilize it in different ways. I have an earpiece, an in-ear little earpiece for my Baofeng, which people are going to mercilessly make fun of. But the truth is I don't plan on using comms because you're gonna get found out using your comms. But if I do have to use comms, if it's like a natural disaster or something, right, and we just want to have communication, and I don't want to look like a soldier, a good way to do that is to have something like this. You can conceal your radio. You can run this up through your shirt, and also there's points where I don't want to be wearing my helmet, with my ear cups on and everything all the time. So this is a good thing to have on hand. And then I also have a Disco 32 comms, Gasmask comms port, right? So this cable plugs into, my comms and then plugs into my gas mask. Again, something people don't think about with gas masks is having a way to communicate still and a way to consume liquids. Very important. If you have a gas mask and you don't have those items, you actually don't have a gas mask. You don't have the capability to sustain with it. And then the last thing I keep on my kit is, again, it seems like every video I do now, they're in there, but the Cana Provisions Personal Water Decon Kit. And that is, again, if all I can grab is my carbine and this chest rig and my helmet, then I still have a way to consume liquids and continue to create liquid that is safe to drink using this in my canteen. So that's the chest rig part of this. There's a lot of stuff on the table now. So we're going to go to what everybody is hoping I probably have, and that is my actual bag, right? So this is what I would consider to be the actual go bag, right? This is the thing that, again, if I reach inside this bag, there's more stuff in there we're going to talk about, but this is kind of the core of what I'm going to try to grab, right? I have my carbine, I have my IFAK, I have my chest rig with all this stuff in there, and then this is that final layer that supplements everything else. And this is a Hyperlight Mountain Gear. I'm sure they love that I use their stuff for this kind of stuff, right? But hey, if you're out there and you're listening, you are the resistance. So it's a Hyperlight. It's black. You have two choices with them, basically. You have black or white. So I picked black, and it doesn't look like a military pack. The other thing I like about Hyperlight is that the material they use, the Dyneema material, this bag is not waterproof. It's not completely water. You cannot throw this in the ocean and expect it to not have any water, but they perform quite well in wet conditions. So I don't have to have an internal wet weather bag. I can move about if it's raining. My stuff's not going to get soaked on the inside. The downfall of this bag is, listen. Sounds like a nice rain. But this bag is not the quietest bag. But I actually don't think it's that big of a deal. When it's on your back, it's not making a lot of noise. But if you're Sniper Wolf and you're crawling around in the trenches, probably not the best choice. If you're moving through an urban center, not a bad choice. It's also just a tube. It doesn't have any external pockets. There's not a lot to it. It's very lightweight. That's why I chose it, is it's very basic. So digging right in, what do we got? So there's calories in here. We're going to see them layered throughout the bag. This is a freeze-dried ice cream sandwich. I find that through experience, in stressful situations, having something sugary is actually, it's scientifically verified. When you have a lot of adrenaline, like you have an adrenaline spike, having sugar, basically, having glucose, ingesting that helps you level off, right? It's also just tasty, and it has high trade value, right? So I got one of those in there. I'm going to pull out this thing because it's just taking up a lot of space. Oh man, there it goes. I have my gas mask ready to go with a form in it, which, it sucks to store your mask with the form because it makes it much bigger. But I recommend, guys, keep your form in there. I just have a little piece of shock cord to keep it mounted. But yeah, I recommend having that. You don't want your mask deforming over the years, right? It's also entertainment when things get real bad, real dark. And then I have a NBC filter. Now, I keep my filter in the packaging to preserve it and not have it on my mask. I can see the argument for like, hey, you should just have the filter on your mask ready to go. I think that's a sound argument. But this is insurance, and I don't panic about this every day. So if things are starting to get weird, there is a potential that I have to pull my mask out, undo this, and put it on, and I'm already in CS gas or something like that. But more than likely, I'll have time. If it's starting to happen, no problem with ripping this open, setting the mask up, and just putting it back in the bag. But, preserving funds by keeping that in the bag is what I prefer to do. I do have a brick of these chem lights. They're like little mini chem light sticks that go in like a magazine dispenser because chem lights are part of communicating with the people that I run with. So I like to have those on hand, and they're fresh inside of that. I know they're going to work. It's easy to rip that open, pull that little magazine out, put it in the pouch, and then go with it. So there's that. This guy, another unreleased product that I'm probably going to get in trouble for showing. These are little atom bags, not atom like me, like atom, like, physics. But they're just little ditty bags, right? And they're a way to keep those small items that I carry with me all in one spot. So I know I can just reach in and just grab this little bag and things that I keep, right? This is a multi-cable, and I have a battery pack in there. I'll show you, but like the headlamp, things that need to be charged. It has a bunch of different I/O connectors on it. Real small. You can get these on Amazon for a couple of bucks. I can't take credit for this. This was a Zach Hornschmeyer Cana Provisions find. He's the one who told me about those. I have a spare set or more of every battery that I need, right? So usually I carry a double load of spare batteries, but at least one for in-your stuff and then a switch out is my recommendation. More calories in the form of Cliff Bars. These things are, if you've been in the military, you're probably not very fond of them anymore, but they're okay. If you haven't had a Cliff Bar, do you even hike? SteriPen. This is the model that is rechargeable. If you don't know what a SteriPen is, you should look it up. And if you don't know how to use a SteriPen, do not scoop up mud water and then try to put your SteriPen in there. It's not going to work. But another great tool for water that is clear, but maybe you don't trust it. This works really well. And then I have small like first aid items. I'm not going to go through every single one, but my recommendation is like all of your boo-boo kit type, like I sprained my ankle, find the single-use packs. If you're in a group, you can buy them off Amazon in like 100 count. You could build your own little kits and distribute them amongst each other. But I recommend individually packaged. It just makes it easier, and you're also you have your dose rate and all of that on there. So you don't have to like write it down, and then it's just a mess. So I recommend that. Bug repellent. I have a face stick because I don't like being traumatically sunburned. Sunscreen. I have some of these oral IVs in there, again, to add electrolytes to my water. There's a lot of science around like drinking just water versus electrolyte water. And then a lighter. This is not just any lighter, though. It's a Superior Defense one. So big lighter, and it has tape. You probably can't see that from this angle, but when we do some close-in shots, you'll see it. So it has Gorilla Tape wrapped around it. Again, small repair. Like, you're going to be responsible for all your own stuff. And anyone who's carrying around like, I got my flint and I have a little can with steel wool in it and all this, it's like, we're not Bear Grylls, dude. We're not trying to jump out of a plane into Sitka Island and freaking, burn some sticks together or whatever. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to start fire immediately. So I recommend just having a Bic lighter. Power pack, 10,000 milliamps or more is what I would recommend for something like a bag. But I mean, you could go bigger. This is an Anchor. These are not expensive. You can get these on Amazon. Anchor has been a pretty decent brand, and has this one I've had for many years. It's been through a lot of discharge cycles, so it seems to be working. I would recommend that. I do have a Platypus Cat9 gravity filter. Water is so important to this. People underestimate it, but you have to, you pretty much have to be thinking of these things in phases, like get out of danger, and then get access to water. If this is starting, if you're hoofing it home and it's going to take you 2 or 3 days to get there, you're going to need water. I promise you that. The water sources that you get are maybe not going to be very reliable. So in this kit, I'm like dumping it all out everywhere. In this kit, the reason why I like having a kit like this is because I have 2 bags now, right? And these bags are quite big. This can fit, it says up to 140 ounces of clean water in it. This greatly expands my ability to carry more water with me, right? So scenario, you're walking, you're trying to get back home, you find a small stream or something, you're gonna bed down for the night anyways, because it's getting dark, you don't wanna travel anymore, you need to rest, you can pull your dirty bag out, you can scoop up a bunch of that water, you can set your gravity filter up, and then you can start purifying some water, filtering some water while you sleep. The other good thing about it is that you can actually hang this on the back of your seat in your vehicle. So if you stop, scoop up water, hang it from the back, and then set this on the floor and just let it while you're driving, right? You're on the move, you're filtering water. It's a relatively cheap system for the security of having just kind of this inline filter to be able to make your own water. Now again, guys, this is to sustain like one human, right? This is not going to do a family. It's not going to do a big element. This is basically just to sustain just you, right? You need this much. If you do have a clean water source, you can also fill both bags with clean water, right? If you've never used it, it's just another water container, right? So now you can have even more water. In this kit, I've stashed some of my own stuff in there. You guessed it, another decon kit. The reason why I have the decon kit is because it has tools for pre-filtering water in it, as well as another set of aqua tabs in there. So I keep that inside this kit so that if I grab it, I don't have to go back to my chest rig or to my uniform top or anything like that. I just know I have an extra set in there. I can rip it open and use it. And then I also keep a cravat in here. If you don't know what a cravat is, it's a triangular bandage that the Army has used for many years. But basically, it's this big piece of cloth, and I can put this over the lid of containers, and I can pre-filter water, and then I can use these big rubber bands to tighten that cloth over it to pre-filter the water through. These filters right here work best if you run clean water, clean being water that is clear, through this. It will last a lot longer and it'll also work. If you put muddy water into that bag, your filter is going to die very quickly, and then you're going to have no means to purify water. So that's the water kit. It's that platypus catadine thing. Maybe we'll link it. I don't know. But yeah, that's what I use for that. More calories. So this is not a stripped down MRE. Usually, in combat, we would strip these things down to like this kind of bare minimum. For this, just to keep it sealed and packaged really nicely, I just keep everything in it. Again, this is not very heavy even with everything in it, so I can afford to carry this meal. This gives me that, that 24 hours. I mean, I can really stretch this out if I needed to, but it's high calorie. The most important note, I don't really use MREs a lot in any of my planning, right? MREs are actually not a great food source, and they're also not a great survival food, believe it or not. They're actually quite heavy, and they have a shelf life, a good shelf life, but they're hard to find. You don't know how old they are. There's a lot of issues with it. And again, the food is meant to sustain soldiers in combat, and it's coming from the government. So I'll just leave it at that. Not the best, but I have one because I can eat it immediately. What I don't want to see in your guys' bags, I don't want to see, a freeze-dried Mountain House meal. And you show up to the party and you're like, hey, I have this food. Hold on, I got to cook my meal, guys. We're like, well, that's a problem because we have to move right now. So you don't get to eat, right? And we don't want to have anything that needs a flame. Also in here, I have a utility top. Everybody's going to see it. You don't have to have this utility top. You can have any utility top. You should probably coordinate with your bros and have the same type of utility top so that you can recognize each other. But this is part of my actual, like, my kit, right? This is a layer of my kit. So some of us still believe in America, so I got the American flag on there. If you disagree, you should probably just unsubscribe. Inside the shoulder pocket, I have 2 Chemlite bundles. Again, you don't have to have Chemlite bundles in your shoulder pocket, but you should have a way to communicate non-verbally with each other. So these are specifically color-coded, and we use them in a certain way to communicate different things with each other. These bundles, this is a tactic that I picked up from the Direct Action Resource Center. Down there, they call them starfishes. So we have 2 of those. You guys are going to love this. Another Cana decon kit. Do I work for Cana Provisions? So Cana Provisions decon kit, yes, I have one in my uniform pocket. I'm so traumatized about water that I now prefer to keep that in my uniform as well. I've modified that one a little bit. I do have some extra medication and stuff in there as well. You can open that pouch. It's yours. You bought it. On the front of my uniform, I have the handy dandy notebook. This is a Field Notes brand. Very, very bougie. Inside of it, I have a pencil. This is the lamest video. I have a pencil, guys. I prefer just a normal pencil because pens die over time. Mechanical pencils are dumb, and this thing I can sharpen with my pocket knife until it's literally a little nub. Yeah, I prefer a pencil. I also keep note cards in here because if I want to jot something down and give it to somebody else, I don't really want to tearing the pages out of my notebook. So I just write it down on a note card. If I need to leave a message like, hey, we went this way, right? That's how I would do that. So I always keep a notebook on me. As a responsible individual, you should. Up on the top here, on my top button, I have a small photon light. This is something I picked up on one of my deployments. I would always wear this little photon light there because it's really dark outside, especially if there's no ambient light from, human lights, man-made lights. It gets really dark. You just need to see where you're going, right? You're not always in all of your stuff with your night vision on. Maybe you're just inside of an encampment or something, or now you're a refugee, so you're enjoying your FEMA time. So you just like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. You can just walk to the bathroom, right? Not all of it is like cool guy, I'm gonna die stuff. Inside, I also have a small strip of VS17 that I've cut down. Small little signal panel. Again, you can cut this down even smaller. You can use the strips for all sorts of stuff, but mainly just signaling, right? If I need to direct somebody's attention to something, I can use the big panel. If I want to leave something behind, like a note, let's say, you can tack this to a tree or whatever, and if somebody's searching for you, they're going to see this very fluorescent orange and go, hey, maybe I should go look at that. And then there's a note card there that says, hey, I walked this way or whatever. So I keep that on there. My left pocket, more chem lights. This is a red and a blue. Again, colors are irrelevant. It's whatever you want it to be for your signaling palette. But for me, I use one. I'm not going to give up exactly what we use them for. I use one for a certain thing and another for another thing. And I differentiate them for night use by having a little tab of electrical tape on the red chem light so that I know that's the red one when I'm pulling them out. If I was at war and I was doing this every day, I would not have them in the packaging still. But because I need to preserve them for longer in between uses, I just keep them in the package. Just so you know, chem lights degrade the minute you take them out and they start getting hit with UV light. They start to degrade. That's why everybody's seen that weird chem light. It's like, it looks weird on the inside and it doesn't glow very well. That's why. And then I have another Cliff Bar in that pocket as well. Again, just having layered calories and stuff like that throughout. But wait, there's more stuff in here. All right, so we're getting towards the bottom now. Socks. I recommend a wool sock. These are Darn Tough socks. And I've been wearing Darn Tough socks for a long time. Again, they don't sponsor the channel. We don't have a cool channel sponsor from Darn Tough. I wish they would. Good socks, though. I really do think that it's a good brand, good sock. I recommend having a sock that you've worn before, that you know what it feels like, you know what you ruck marched in that type of sock. Don't go out and buy a sock and just throw it in there and then find out that it's slippery or something is going to F your feet up. And I do have the longer sock because I can still wear these in the summer, but in the winter I'm going to appreciate having the extra height on the sock. I also have a beanie. This is kind of a non-negotiable thing for me in my kit. I've just been left behind too many times in the military and left to my own devices. You can put this on your head and go to sleep, and at least you're not freezing. And then I also have a rain layer. I recommend for this that you have a neutral tone. Again, something gray, something green, something that does not look military, something pretty lightweight, but that is proven equipment that is going to be waterproof. You definitely don't want to be soaked. This is, it's Arc'teryx. I'm going to get flamed in the comments for that. It's an Arc'teryx jacket. And again, it's gray because I don't want to stand out, right? A lot of this kit is based around not standing out. I don't want to be in full head-to-toe multicam walking around in a city or something, and then, you look like a soldier, and everybody's like, why is this guy here? So we've talked about all this stuff. This is all the stuff that, in this big pile, is those that's like that immediate, like I'm going to grab it and I'm going to go. So everybody asking about like a go bag. Well, you really can't have a go bag. You just have a rucksack then. If you have all this stuff, right? You just have a rucksack, but then your rifle is not inside of that. And you could break it down. You could break your rifle down into parts and put it in there, but then you don't have immediate access to the rifle, which was a no-go criteria for me. I still want to be able to gain access to that very quickly. So that kind of took me away from that. I also can imagine a scenario where I'm only grabbing my rifle and the chest rig. So everything's layered to where I can still get water, I still have a couple calories, I still have the rifle, and I still have some med kit. Another note on the med kit, I didn't mention it before, but the reason why I roll with a Fanny pack med kit is that I can wear this without my chest rig. So if it's very low vis and I'm just wearing my raincoat and I can still have this med kit on me, I can still have my concealed pistol, that kind of thing hidden in there. And the concealed pistol is another thing to talk about before we dive into the final contents here. You should be concealing if you're into this stuff. The first step is really every day having your pistol on you. So this whole kit is laid out with the assumption that I already have my concealed carry pistol, in my pants or whatever, coming with me. So that's a part of this plan. So that's why it hasn't been included yet. And I'll show you how I kind of get through that. So on the bag, I have a bunch of other stuff, but on the lid here, it's nice because it has this extra Velcro on it, right? And on that, I just put I've pieced together some different stuff. Like these are Mystery Ranch little pouches here from, I don't remember what it's from. I think from a helmet case or something. This is a Micro Bats little pouch here. That's just a tourniquet. This is a spare retainer for my spud pouches if I want to swap them to a different configuration. But I just have stuff layered in here and just labeled with medical tape, right? So more batteries, that's all of this. Again, batteries are very important because you might not ever have access to batteries again, right? So you need to have batteries to sustain. In this, I actually have a small pen flare device in here. This is a military pen flare device. It's down in there somewhere. So that's for that signaling aspect of this. So if I need to signal, I have it in there. I have an extra tourniquet up there kind of quick access. I do have more calories in here, so another MRE. That 48 hours is kind of where I'm at with this bag, is like, do I have enough stuff to kind of sustain me for 48 hours or procure things like water for the next 48 hours? Inside the bag, I have GP pouches mounted to the side, because the bag does have Molly on the inside. And I have GP pouches mounted, and each GP pouch is labeled, and they have different things in them. One has a lot of extra chem lights, right? And those extra chem lights are, I mean, again, it's all about just signaling and communicating with either my group or with other people I don't know. But if you think of a very practical application of like, hey, you put this in, there's a disaster going on, you threw this in your car, and then you're driving down the road, and all of a sudden there's this massive car accident with lots of hurt people, and it's dark, right? So you have access to a ton of chem lights. You can start throwing chem lights out on the road further down to warn people that, like, hey, there's something going on up here. And then you can start marking things, right? Say there's some hurt people or something, and you've consolidated them, right? So you can mark where they are, and that way when first responders do get there, if they get there, you can say, hey, everyone who has a red chem light on them is hurt, and they're all in the same spot over there, or whatever, right? That's just an example just to give yourself a scenario that you might need those. But any kind of signaling, you are probably going to need more. And honestly, if you just need light too, in very dark rooms, I do have a pouch that has more flashbangs in it. Again, they're inside this bag. Is like I can pull stuff out of this bag if I need it. I can put them in my pockets, things like that. And then I have another one that actually has smoke grenades in it, right? Again, that signaling aspect, also that civil unrest aspect. If you pop one of these things, they're relatively safe, but people don't know that. They don't know what it is. Most people have not been exposed to it, so it's a way to get people away from you or to conceal what you're about to do, right? Conceal your movement, stuff like that. I do keep an extra set of flex cuffs in here as well. Obvious reasons. If you have to put somebody under control, this is the way to do it. They're safe, they're effective, and they're easy to use. And then you can, cheap compared to handcuffs. This is a wonton, again, another product we make if you want a way to organize a lot of stuff. They work pretty well. This is kind of my extras overflow bag, right? This is stuff that's nice to have if I have the time to use it or grab it. This is a VPU, a spare VPU for my gas mask. If you don't know what a VPU is, voice projection unit, it just allows you to talk at a normal voice with the gas mask on, but it amplifies it outside. I have a H2Go chlorine generator with salt in it. Again, this allows me to manufacture large quantities of safe drinking water. A bunch of 550 cord for everything. Everything you need is in there. So those are some more items that I carry inside of that. And then lastly, I have this red bag, and it is a bag from Stone Glacier. There's my plug. Lightweight, but I got it because it's red, and it could visually be separated from everything else that's in my bag, because this is that final pistol piece that I was talking about earlier. So when you conceal carry, some people carry with a light on, some people don't. I generally do not carry with a pistol light on my pistol. I usually have a handheld in my pocket. But if I were to get into this situation where I want to be a little more overt, or I just want to have my pistol with a light on, I prefer, if I'm going to fight with my pistol, to have the light on it. So there's some items in here that I can, if I have time, which these are totally not necessary, but I can if I need to. I can go to an out of the waistband holster, and I can get my pistol off the front and put it on the side with a light on it. I have a full spare magazine with a pouch. I also have another light bearing in the waistband holster, so that I can, if I need to, I can still go concealed with my light on it. And then I do have my light as well. So I can mount my I can mount my light to my pistol and change my configuration very quickly. So I keep that in there as something that I can grab. If that's something I have to do, I can just grab it and I can start using it. Yeah, so I mean, that's the bag, guys, right? But more important than what's in the bag is the concept. Again, I'll reiterate it. If you have this stuff and you consider yourself prepared, but all this stuff is in separate tote bins and things all over your house or your garage or at multiple locations. Some's in your car, some's not. You actually don't have the capability, right? Because you can't get access to it, and having to search for things is not really the right answer. So I encourage everybody. It's kind of a challenge, a personal challenge that I've been trying to do, and it's very difficult because we use these things, especially if you train a lot and stuff like that. You use your rifle and you use your holsters and you use all this stuff. So keeping it consolidated and being very disciplined about having the stuff you're supposed to have in the bag ready to go becomes kind of a chore. So I encourage everybody, do the challenge, keep your bag ready to go. It's part of being responsible. It's part of being a citizen, in my opinion, is having this stuff ready to go, and self-reliance is the key. So that's it, guys, for the team room today. If you have ideas, I didn't come up with all of this on my own. I've had a lot of input over the years. You guys have a lot of good input. Drop a comment. I do get in the comments. I read them. We value when you guys have, things to say. We value that feedback. And we do take it into consideration. We look at it. I'm always looking for new ideas. And I know there's a ton of different ways that we can do this, and people have a ton of different needs that they might shine some light on. Hey, you're missing something, or you should add this, or you should take that out. Here's why. I'd love to hear that stuff from you guys. So again, if you guys like the videos, subscribe to the channel. We put out a ton of content, and we're going to keep putting out more and more content as the years go by. Also, if you have ideas for content, drop those in the comments as well. We definitely take that into consideration. Some of our videos have been shot because somebody asked for that information. As always, guys, be ready. Keep all your stuff in a bag, and we'll see you next time.